Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Room Number 9. Last time I left you off as, we gave a blowjob, to Seiji. And he loved it. He didn't want to admit it, but he loved it. And now we face the opportunity, the pleasurable opportunity, of Seiji reciprocating that for Daichi. So I'm excited, you're excited, and I just realized I loaded the wrong save before, so here's the correct one. The two of us just stood there wordless. Oh dear. Face effing? That's what this is, right? Is it? I mean, not necessarily, it just sounds like a normal, same thing you did to Seiji. I mean, that's a really rough word to use. Sounds forceful. I was sure Seiji knew the proper word. Erumatio? Erumation? What? I have no idea what that is. Is he trying to say fellatio? I wasn't about to ask him, though. It would be different if I had to do it, but I couldn't even joke with Seiji in that moment. Also, boy, were they detailed. 10 centimeters long, 8 millimeters deep. They really weren't pulling any punches. Well, yeah, that's just from the old task. We already read that. Didn't we? That's the same exact task. Yeah. Then Seiji calmly pressed the details icon on the screen. It was another detailed list of the specified implements. A ring gag, handcuffs, nipple clamps, prostate vibrator. Other than the gag, it was the same lineup as last time. That kind of gag was for keeping someone's mouth open, so it really must have been face effing that they were after. Well, somehow, Daichi telepathically knew that before they even clicked on the details. Don't know how. Maybe he just wanted that to be the case. That's what I'm thinking. The person who'd be on the receiving end of that treatment couldn't even muster a sigh. He must have been expecting as much, just bringing a hand to his mouth lost in thought.
やっぱ、俺の夜で
Seiji answered shortly after a brief moment of thought. He turned off the TV as if to end the conversation there, and headed back to one of the chairs, leaving me with the room's tablet. I mean, considering we already did it for him, he better do it for us and not complain, you know? I almost felt a little abandoned when he left me like that, but I knew it wasn't like that. He was saying, just do it. He was telling me to just do it. Nike. Fine, I guess. But next time, if it escalates further, we have to go with my task. It won't bother me. Escalates further like what? Oh no. It says we gotta do anal, so suddenly Daichi has to get a knife stuck in him? Come on. I'm not gonna go into a diatribe like I always do. Hurt me all you like. Okay, well, that's kink. That's kink. I felt a little miserable with nothing particular to do, so I sat down on the bed and fiddled with the tablet. I left the TV off.
アラーム音も変えられんのか
Apparently they let us adjust when the alarm would go off, how frequently and what sound to use. It even looked like we could change when our food would arrive, and a specific deadline each day for tests. I didn't really feel like changing it though. Other than the food part, there wasn't anything particularly appealing in those options. Then I figured I might as well read over the rules again. They mentioned something about some kind of compensation, but it didn't say how much. It didn't sound like it would be enough to make up for the pain and suffering we'd have to bear in this place, which pissed me off.
実験終了後の復帰地点
As long as we get filthy rich after the study, that makes it all worth it. Oh yeah, that reminded me. I did pick the option the same as Subject B. I hoped it meant we would be returned to the same place at the same time. Personally, I wanted us to go home together. That way we could both be sure we were safe and got home. There was even another option where you could write your request in detail. Of course, that came with a disclaimer saying that not all requests may be fulfilled. Which I guess meant that if you put something silly like, "I've had enough of Okinawa, take me to New York," it might not go through. It would be pretty scary to go to sleep and wake up in New York. I didn't even have a passport. The fact that they'd have the ability to get me to America would be terrifying in its own right. But it would also suck to not be able to get home. And don't put New York. It would be scary if I suddenly ended up with a passport too. I hated how it felt like they could do absolutely anything. If only I could live in a world where I would never encounter a dark organization like this. Oh honey, they're everywhere. Or rather, where I would never have encountered one. I scrolled to the next page. The item that immediately jumped out at me was Tilted Corpse Disposal. It was the one that had made me feel sick to my stomach the day we got here. It was too terrifying to even think about. The default option was interned at this facility. Was this place really that big? That'd mean never going home, becoming a permanently missing person. There was also the option to have your body abandoned near your residence. Wow, what a great option. What? Can't wait for my family to find my dead corpse. Right in front of the house. Just throw it right in the yard. I guess it was fair to assume the implication that you could have a proper funeral. Wait, I guess it was fair to assume the implication was that you could have a proper funeral that way. Not that any of this was really fair. It had a next of kin field too. It was required even. I didn't really have a reason to mess with it. I didn't want to either. I didn't want to think about dying or what would happen after. I didn't want either of us to die. I had to stop. Looking at this stuff just made me think about awful things. Alright, exercise is just the thing at times like this. How are you gonna exercise? I wasn't kidding about that either. Exercise is really great for this sort of thing. It's kinda like how you feel almost refreshed after a big move since you have to use your body so much. What? No. Never. What? A big move? Refreshed? Huh? You feel dead. You hate your life. What? Crazy. Like the natural weight training you get from carrying heavy boxes around always works to clear bad moods. What? Is this a straight thing? Yeah, I don't get it. This is not accurate to life at all. As far as I knew, it was something to do with serotonin release. My information source for that had been the guy currently sitting on the other side of the room reading an ebook. So exercise it is. Is he doing sit-ups or... I stood up straight and clasped my hands behind my head before bending my knees as if I was sitting down in a chair. Once my knees were at a 90-degree angle, I held it for a moment before slowly standing back up. My body seemed to be still in a decent condition. I wasn't so sure after all I'd lost all that blood, but I guess it had been, what, 3 days already? I didn't feel any ill effects.
やばい。スクワットってこんなにきつかったっけ?
He was working on that ass. Damn, my thighs were tingling. Tingling.
No! 何してる?
Seiji glanced over at me. He looked like he was suffering from secondhand embarrassment.
暇すぎてスクワットしてたら結構きついな.
Oh my god, he's literally... Is he squatting like on a dildo? Is that why he's moaning so much?
血抜いてまだ数日だからな。無理するな。
Because, like, you know, every time he squats down, it goes in, you know, and then every time he stands up, it goes out. So maybe that's why he's moaning so much. I don't know. I gave him a yes, sir, and decided to switch to a less strenuous exercise just to be safe. Sit-ups this time. That got me thinking, though. I wondered if we could get a treadmill or stationary bike or something. I thought I saw something like that on the request list. I considered mentioning it to Seiji. I was sure he was feeling out of shape too, so I figured it'd be nice for the both of us. Aw, wasn't that cute? But picking out some home exercise equipment while you're locked in captivity.
俺も体がなまるな。
Right? Just as I thought of saying something, Seiji checked his phone and then got to his feet.
こうか。
He stood up straight with his hands together in front of his chest and then stretched his arms out over his head. I watched Seiji's perplexing movements as I did sit-ups on the bed. He leaned forward and bent over. My eyes widened a little as he touched the carpet with his fingertips. His knees looked stiff, but he was pretty flexible. He kept his hands on the floor and slid his legs back one at a time, getting into almost a starting push-up position. Well, at least that's what I thought, but then he stuck his butt up in the air. It was like his butt was the top of a mountain. This is weird. Then again, every time Daichi talks about Seiji, it just gets weird. A strange mood suddenly came over me. What? I couldn't help but think about how I'd seen underneath those clothes of his. I bet you're constantly thinking about it. No, stop.
何それ?
You're so gay, Daichi.
ヨガ。太陽礼拝って言うらしい。太陽を拝めないのに太陽礼拝って皮肉だよな。
The movement seemed kind of weird, but it seemed like a good stretch. I wondered if I could even do it.
やっべ、全身ピリピリいってる。
I couldn't even handle a little stretching. Room number 9. 2 people awkwardly doing yoga. We really should be swimming in the ocean right now or rubbing oil on some beach babes. Not on each other, hun. But instead we're stretching while our out-of-shape bodies beg us to stop.
なんでこんなの入れてんの?
My question came out slightly strained as Seiji moved into another pose, looking calm and composed as ever. This yoga stuff is actually pretty hard.
ユイがヨガはいいからやれと。マジで?
None of my girlfriends would have ever done that. Okay, so... I was so glad we could have a normal conversation and laugh together again. We still had 6 days to go, and that would have been brutal if we weren't talking. It's easy to get depressed when the reality weighing on your head is that sucky after all. It was past 8. We'd eaten dinner and had some time for our stomachs to settle. I still hadn't decided whether to have a shower yet. My heart was heavy with thoughts of what was to come. Did we really have to do this? Yes. Oh my lord. Seiji got up first, as I ruminated on the subject while staring vacantly at the clock on the upper right-hand corner of the TV screen. I wasn't really in a place where I could have offered to go first. But Seiji was his usual self, capable of thinking things through quickly and making decisions just as quickly. Seiji really gave everything his all. I mean, he was definitely a lot faster at thinking things through than me. I always felt like he was one step ahead. I'd always liked that about him, respected him for it. But at the same time, I felt like he was always just out of reach because of it. The sound of the bathroom door opening seemed excessively loud as Seiji appeared clad in his bathrobe again. Seiji was attractive and brilliant, an all-around great guy, we know. So why did I have to do such awful things to him again? You get to do amazing things with him.
Ike.
Yes, sir. God, I hate Seiji. I figured I should grab that shower. I faltered for a moment, debating whether I should bring a change of clothes or use a bathrobe. Ultimately, I decided on my sweats. It's so annoying. Like just a little flavor on the dick. Just a little bit. It'll be good. I wanted to cling to things that reminded me who I was. I washed myself thoroughly, every nook and cranny. My arousal from the previous day seemed like a distant memory with how sad and dejected my dick looked. That gave me a brief peace of mind, but it was a problem in its own way. I was required to ejaculate, so how was that going to work? Man, why did I have to do this to my best friend? My thoughts ran in circles as I meticulously cleaned myself from head to toe. I'm used to myself that someone must have been watching me do all that, but it was less an idle thought and more of a conviction at that point. When I got back into the room, Seiji was already naked and sitting on the bed, along with the implements. He hadn't touched them yet. So is like everything just hanging out? Is he even like trying to hide it? Is he like have a sheet over himself or what? When I approached, he got off the bed onto his knees. I heard him go into the exchange chamber and then into the bathroom, closing the door. I just sighed and flopped back on the bed. I sank into the mattress as the tension slowly left my body.
Kuso!
I hate this. Why is this You love it! You were just talking about how you loved it. What have we done? We're best friends. Why are they making us do this? Because they saw there was more than friendship between you two. Tears welled up in my eyes and spilled out over my face. I mean, how long can you live a lie? Because Daichi and Seiji are attempting to live a lie for the rest of their lives. It's not a cute look, hun. You're gonna, turn around, you're gonna be 40 years old, you're gonna have a kid, and, you're gonna realize you're gay. You also have a wife, did I say that? Gross. Yeah, it's not a cute look to do that. Then you'll start having hookups in men's bathrooms anonymously. And then you'll have an 18-year-old lover that you use as a replacement for your son. Like a certain manga. It's not a good... Don't do it. Just fall in love with your friend right now and call it a day. I'd started to lose track of the days. The delicious breakfast was starting to lose its allure. We ate in silence, got dressed, and immediately looked at our tasks for the day. I had no real expectations. At most, I vaguely figured it was going to be something awful again. I didn't have any hopes to begin with, but somehow they managed to betray whatever vague expectations I did have. It almost made me feel like almost made me feel like things might be looking slightly up. Subject A must extract semen from Subject B without stimulating Subject B's pepe. They're pepe. Okay. So I guess just, like, butt stuff and stuff. That sounds hard, like, even for people that are aware and in tune of their sexuality, it's not like they can just easily do that. It's not easy. You know? So that one might even almost just be impossible, honestly. Without touching their pepe? How can we do that? I was prepared for it, but I was still annoyed. Seiji didn't really react, like he'd already gotten used to it. But like after the task of the day before, this almost felt like a drop in difficulty. Honey, you don't know how hard it's gonna be. It was weirdly anticlimactic in a way. Objectively speaking, both tasks were pretty awful, but in a kind of unsettling way, I was getting used to it. Seiji didn't even shrug or sigh, he just put the tablet down.
Yoruna.
He said casually as ever and picked his tablet off the charger. I'm telling these guys, it is such a mistake to be waiting until night to do this. Do it in the morning. What? You better not be trying to get a knife in you.
やっぱり、今日は俺の方にしよう。
He looked at me. He had such a serious look on his face, but I wasn't about to back down this time or try to cover it up with laughter. When I had returned the serious look, Seiji set his tablet and plopped down in one of the chairs. He leaned forward where he sat, suggesting he'd hear me out.
俺が悪いとか悪くないとか、そういうの抜きにしてもさ、お前ばっかやられんの、やっぱおかしいし、俺だってしんどい。
He listened patiently, so I just kept talking. This was pretty much how things always went between us. I'd explain a situation, Seiji would listen and then give me precise strategy for dealing with it.
分かってただろうけど、俺、昨日寝れなくてさ、ずっと 考えてたんだよ。少しでも俺傷つきたい。その方がお互いダメージ小さいだろ。
Normally Seiji would reply, but the way they want to hurt me is the least damaging overall, and I just go along with it. I just assumed that it was the best solution and that Seiji was right. But I couldn't do that. I couldn't let Seiji shoulder all the pain. It's
だから次は俺にしよう。
It's not even painful.
やる方だって嫌だろ。
He made it sound so normal and matter-of-fact. He might as well have been telling me to eat my vegetables. My chest ached. I couldn't believe how considerate he was being. Even after that awful crap he went through yesterday, he understood how much it had pained me too.
どっちを選んでもお互い嫌な思いをするんだ。それなら俺は目に見える傷が残らない方がいい。
Well, at least he's thinking with his noggin. Yeah, but what about the mental scars? The body can adapt to all sorts of physical changes after all. So by the same logic, why not let me be hurt? But it was still Seiji's turn to talk. We don't have the talking feather yet. We have to wait our turn. So I just balled my hands into fists and listened. Seiji met my gaze, narrowing his eyes.
それに今のお前みたいな気持ちは味わわなくて済むしな。
I couldn't believe it. He could say that after everything he'd suffered already. How is he even real? Bruh. He's been enjoying it. Did you not see? He has been pleasured every single time. Although we didn't really get him to climax yesterday, we should have if we were considerate. No, I couldn't argue with that.
わかった。
Seiji was probably right. He was always right. Well, at least more right than me. I couldn't start complaining and making him worry about me even more. So that was that. We just had to do it. It's probably for the best. It is for the best. And so, night came. Once again.
で、どうやる？
Yeah. Oh. I hate this music. I hate this music. I hate this music. Oh lord. No. Why is the music like this? This is dread. The way I asked the question was so casual that I might as well have been perusing the menu at one of our usual dinner haunts. Despite that, my mind was a complete jumble of thoughts, like about existential futility and whatnot, and the sort of stuff you can get used to. Helplessness. That's what that face was. Seiji stared at me through his eyelashes, his brow firmly knit.
やりたくない。
Yes, you do. Even if we were used to it, it didn't make the feeling of frustration any better, and it was no surprise that we both felt the same way. I mean, I really didn't want to do it either. The more tasks we cleared, the more they would escalate. We'd sleep, wake up, eat, struggle with the choices presented to us, kill time, and then it'd be night again. Which is why you should be doing it in the morning, and then you can enjoy the rest of the day instead of lamenting over what you're gonna have to do, even though you're actually excited for what you have to do. Over and over, it kept getting worse, bit by bit, as if we were tumbling down a spiral deeper every day. Seiji had thoroughly prepared with a lengthy shower. I went to retrieve a variety of devices from the exchange chamber, but it seemed a little excessive. There was a chest waiting for me, crammed full of a wide variety of implements. The message seemed to be, use whatever catches your fancy. It was the first thing I saw, so I grabbed it and set it on the desk by the wall. I stood there waiting for Seiji's answer. What did he grab?
お前に俺の気持ちがわかるか?
His tone was a lot softer this time. He was whining like in a normal, casual chat. Whining.
想像はできる。
If nothing else, it wasn't hard to imagine that it wasn't pleasant. I mean, I wasn't exactly having a great time during that face-fucking task either. If someone had to play with my ass, I'd rather it be a nice older girl. But even then, I wouldn't really want to do it. He let out a deep sigh. It made me wonder if he had any cigarettes left. Smoking probably would have been better than sighing like that. I guess it might have stunk up the room, but that never really bothered me. I figured I could buy him some more with points if he was out. It was the least I could do. I mean, like, you know, they, wanted me to make him come without touching his dick after all.
できんの？
わからない。
I didn't explicitly spell out, can you even come without touching your dick, but thankfully Seiji answered me anyway.
仕方ないだろ。やったことないんだ。
Oh, well, you're gonna try tonight.
だよな。俺もそこまではまだ。
The air hung heavy between us. Was he thinking about what to do? Was he dejected? I couldn't tell. I sat down on the bed. What do I say? I felt like I had to say something.
まあいけんじゃねえの？ほら、牛とかケツの穴に電流流して精液取るらしいし。
What the F was I saying? I couldn't stand the tension. I just wanted to lighten the mood a little. Well, let's give him a little electroshock. I just kept babbling, sensing just how bad the situation really was.
そういえばさ、俺前に付き合ってた
I scrambled to remember. She was a sub chick who worked part-time at an S&M bar, and she told me it feels amazing to get your ass fingered when you're getting a blowjob, while she suggested with a finger.
萌えかだ。あの子、アナルが気持ちいいのは男ならみんな同じだしみたいなこと。
Seiji already knows that. He's been enjoying it. Seiji didn't say a word and pressed his index finger against my lips. Ooh, that's oddly intimate and sexual. Oh right, he wants to concentrate. Press it against your lips, though? I wasn't joking, though.
あのさ、俺が無理やりやろうか。
Like ravishing a girl. Not that I'd ever done anything like that. I didn't want to R-word anyone. I'd never even roleplayed that kind of scenario. But I didn't have to come, and there were restraints in the box too, along with the stuff we'd already used a number of times. There were some other things in there that I had no idea what you'd even do with. But I could figure out how to use them if I looked at the instructions that came with the task. If I relied on that, I'm sure we could manage somehow, and I didn't have to worry too much since they were all sterile too.
なえる。
No, it wouldn't. He spoke in a surprisingly serious tone. That was one of the things I loved about him. Simp.
じゃあ
King Simp.
このエッチな気分になるお薬使う？
A traditional-looking paper packet of medicine was provided along the implements, the kind you see cold remedies provided in.
使い方自由らしいよ。
According to the instructions, it could be taken orally, mixed in with lube, or even put directly on the genitals. If I just couldn't touch his dick, sprinkling some of that on it would be within the rules. It even claimed to have no physical side effects. It didn't say anything either way about psychological ones.
却下。
Dude,
何が入ってるかわかんないしな。
doesn't matter.
依存性があったらアウトだろ。
だよね。
Seiji, you're really adamant about not doing this properly.
そういや、あれがないんだよな。
You know, the thing that had been in Seiji's ass repeatedly now, the prostate vibrator. Although I feel like if we had that, it would have dropped the difficulty even more. I guess they thought it would be no fun if we had that. Gross.
ダメだ。
何がダメなの？
Did he mean it wasn't gonna work without that vibrator, or that he couldn't do it with me?
どの体勢が一番マシか思いつかない。
That's what you were worrying about? Well, guys, I think I'm gonna end the video right here. I have no idea if, like, we're about to get the next scene, like, just after this black screen or not. But if we do, I'll let you know in the next video, and I'll put a link to the scene in the next video, of course. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and when we come back, Daichi is going to pleasure Seiji without touching his Pepe. So like the video, comment the video, and please subscribe. And hit the bell notification. Bye, guys.